since the very beginning, since before we were even human, before we had words for it, before we understood what it was. Every night, for thousands and thousands of years, people just like you have closed their eyes, let their breathing slow, and drifted away into rest. Sleep is so ancient, so much older than cities, older than writing, older than any story we've ever told. The first humans who ever lived, they slept under the stars, listening to the sounds of night, feeling safe enough to let go, to trust that morning would come again, and it always did. Every creature that has ever lived has needed rest. Birds tuck their heads beneath their wings. Cats curl into soft circles. Even the tiniest insects pause, still and quiet. Sleep is universal. It connects us to everyone who came before and everyone who will come after us. Right now, as you're listening to this, people all over the world are sleeping in different time zones, under different skies, but doing the same ancient thing, the same thing humans have always done, closing their eyes, letting their muscles soften, and trusting something as old as time itself. So tonight, you're not alone in this. You're part of something that stretches back forever, something natural, something your body already knows how to do. Let's drift back through time together and discover how sleep has always been there, waiting, patient and gentle. The ancient Greeks, they had gods for everything, and they understood that sleep was sacred, something divine. They believed that sleep and death were twin brothers, Hypnos and Thanatos, both gentle, both necessary, both leading us into darkness and bringing us back to light. Hypnos, the god of sleep, always kind, merciful, he would touch people's foreheads with his gentle hand, or brush them with his soft wings, and they would fall into a peaceful rest. Even the mighty Zeus, ruler of all gods, needed Hypnos, needed sleep, because no one, no matter how powerful, can escape this need. The Egyptians too, they saw sleep as something mysterious, magical. They believed that when we close our eyes, our souls could travel, could receive messages from the divine. Dreams were precious to them. They would write them down on papyrus, trying to understand what the gods were telling them in the night. And perhaps they were right in a way, that sleep takes us somewhere else, somewhere we can't quite remember when we wake, but somewhere important nonetheless. In ancient times, people slept differently than we do now. They didn't didn't sleep in one long stretch through the darkness. They had what we call segmented sleep, or biphasic sleep, first sleep and second sleep. As the sun set, families would retreat to their homes, lie down together, and drift into their first sleep, sleeping for 3 or 4 hours. Then, in the deep middle of the night, they would wake, naturally, gently, not startled, just awake. And this time, this quiet time between sleeps, it was peaceful, sacred even. People would lie in the darkness, thinking soft thoughts, reflecting on their dreams, pray quietly, whispering with their husband or wife. Some would tend the fire, keeping it alive through the cold night, moving slowly, carefully, so as not to disturb the others. Some would simply lie there, in the velvety darkness, feeling safe, feeling calm, waiting for sleep to call them back. And then, after an hour or so, they would feel it, that gentle pull, that heaviness returning to their eyelids, and they would slip back into that second sleep until dawn. This was normal, natural, the way humans slept for thousands of years. No one worried about waking in the night. It was expected, welcomed even, just part of the rhythm, part of being human. They trusted sleep to return, and it always did. In medieval times, in those centuries before electric lights, before factories and schedules, sleep followed a different rhythm entirely. People lived by the sun, by the seasons, by the natural world around them. When darkness fell, and it fell completely and deeply, there was nothing to do but rest. No screens glowing, no streetlights, no hum of refrigerators or distant traffic, just darkness and quiet, and the occasional sound of wind, or an owl calling softly in the distance. Families would gather together as evening came, finish their simple meal, and begin to prepare for the night. They would bank the fire, making sure it would last, give off gentle warmth through the long hours, keep the cold away. Then they'd lie down, often all together in one room. Parents and children, sometimes even animals for warmth, all breathing together in the darkness. And they would slip into their first sleep, that deep, restorative sleep that came so easily after a day of physical work, of moving their bodies, of being outside. This first sleep would last for several hours, 3, 4, maybe 5. special quality. The world was so quiet then, so still. Everyone else sleeping in their villages, in their farms scattered across the countryside. Some people called this time the watching. They would lie there, listening to their loved ones breathe, feeling the warmth of bodies nearby, watching the faint glow of coals in the fireplace. Some would pray, long, wandering prayers, talking quietly with God in the privacy of darkness. Others would simply think, letting their minds drift peacefully. No pressure, no urgency, nowhere to be, nothing to do but exist in that soft, safe space between sleeps. Historians have found references to this time in old books, old diaries, people writing about their first sleep and second sleep as casually as we talk about breakfast and dinner. One medieval prayer book even had special prayers, specifically for the time between sleeps, acknowledging this quiet waking time as a normal part of the night. Couples would talk in whispers, gentle conversations in the dark, sharing thoughts, intimacy, tenderness. No rush, no anxiety about needing to fall back asleep. Just trust that when the body was ready, sleep would return, and it always did. After an hour, sometimes two, that familiar heaviness would creep back in, eyelids growing heavier, thoughts becoming softer, more dreamlike, and they would slip back under into the second sleep, the sleep that would carry them until dawn, until the first birds began to sing, until the soft light crept through the cracks in the shutters. This pattern, this rhythm, it was shaped by the seasons too. In winter, when nights were so long, 14, 15 hours of darkness, people would sleep much more. They would go to bed when the sun set, early in the evening, and stay there until morning, sleeping, waking, sleeping again, conserving energy, staying warm. Winter was a time of rest, of slowing down. The whole world seemed to sleep, trees bare, animals hibernating, humans too, honoring that need for more darkness, more stillness. In the summer, nights were shorter, warmer. People would stay up later, rise earlier, sleep less because they needed less, because the light called them out, beckoned them to work, to live, to move. But always, always, there was enough sleep, because they listened to the bodies, listened to the rhythms of light and dark, trusted what was natural. No one worried about insomnia, about whether they were sleeping right. They just slept, the way their ancestors said, the way the children would. It was simple, and it was enough.